Hi guys, Terry here, and I'm going to be looking at the January 2023 paper tree. That's the alternative to the SBA, right? So guys, if you have not done so as yet, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. Please share the channel. Lots of the resources are free to use, right? Okay, so this is from the January 2023 paper. So basically we have diagram shows a front view of Pinky's house, which includes 4 windows and a door. So we're looking at the front of a house here, and we have some dimensions given. And what do they want? Calculate the total surface area of the front view, inclusive of the windows and the door. So they want total surface area. So basically, if we look at the front of the house, now including the door and the windows, right? I can basically break the shape up, right, into a rectangle, right, as well as a triangle. So there are 2 areas that we're looking at. This here is your triangle. Now the area, let's call that A1. So that area of the triangle here is going to be a half base by height, right? That's the area of a triangle. Now, in terms of the base, right, the base is 13, so it's going to be a half multiplied by 13 multiplied by the height of the triangle, which we're going to take as this figure here, 3.4, right? And that's going to give me, so that's 0.5 multiplied by 13 multiplied by 3.4, right? And that's going to give me 22.1 meters squared. So this here is 22.1 meters squared. So that's the area of the triangle on top. The next thing we need to do, we need to find this area here, the area of the whole rectangle. So let's call that A2, right? So A2 is simply going to be, since it's a rectangle, it's going to be length by breadth or length by width. So it's going to be 13 multiplied by 7.5, and that's going to give me 13 by 7.5. You're going to get 97.5 meters squared, right? So all we need to do to find the total area, so total surface area, right, is simply going to be A1 plus A2, right? That's the rectangle and the triangle, so that's going to be 22.1, and the next one, 97.5. Alright, so 97.5 plus 22.1, and you're going to get 119.6, 119.6 meters squared. So 3 marks for that. The next part now, the windows and the door are made of shatterproof glass, right? The door is 1.2 meters wide and 2.8 meters high. For each of the windows, or each of the 4 windows, so basically they're giving us the dimensions of the door and the window. Determine the minimum amount of glass needed for the door and the 4 windows. So I will assume that the windows will be made of glass, and I'm assuming it's a glass door that they put in here, right? So all I need to do to figure out how much glass I need, right? So the area, right, of one window, right, is equal to, right, so the dimension is 1.8 by 1.4, 1.8 by 1.4. So that's the area of one window, right? So 1.8 multiplied by 1.4, and I'm going to get 2.52 meters squared, right? So that's the area of one window. But the thing is, on the diagram, you will notice that we have 4 windows. So the total amount of glass required is going to be 4 times that amount, right? But let me work out the area of the door as well, right? One time. So the area of the door, right, so the door is 1.2 meters high and 2.8 meters, sorry, 1.2 meters wide and 2.8 meters high. So that's going to be 1.2 multiplied by 2.8, and that's going to give me 1.2 multiplied by 2.8, and you're going to get 3.36. So this here is 3.36 meters squared. So the minimum amount of glass right, and when they say amount of glass, they're talking about area, right, of glass. That's what they really mean. So let's see. So that's going to be, so we have 4 windows. So it's going to be 4 multiplied by 2.52 plus we have to add the area of the door, which is 3.36. So that's going to be 4 multiplied by 2.52 plus 3.36, and you're going to get 13.44, right? So 13.44 meters squared of glass. That's how much you need, right? Next part, they said Pinky covers the front of a house, excluding the door and 4 windows with decorative wall tiles. Calculate the area she covers with tiles. So that area, right? So what she needs to do here, she needs to take the total surface area we got in the first part, which is the 97.5. So this 97.5 here includes the windows and the doors. But now we have to subtract the total area, right? Or the area of the glass that we just worked out there, right? Because the area of the glass includes the 4 windows and the door. So all I need to do is remove 13.44. That's all I need to do. So this is 13.44. And that's why it's only 1 mark. 97.5 minus 13.44. And you're going to get 84.06. Right? So that's the area that she covers with tiles. Alright, so that's the third part. Part B now, Pinky paints one of the walls of the house, which has an area of 53 meters squared. 1 liter of paint covers 4.5 meters squared. Right? Paint is sold in 2.5 liter tins, costing $24.75. Right? She buys the least number of tins of paint to paint the wall, right? So let's see. All right, so this is what we know. We know that 1 liter paints 4.5 meters squared. So we need to figure out how many liters of paint she's going to use. So 4.5 meters squared, all right, requires 1 liter, right? That's what they told us. 4.5 meters squared will allow us to paint, 1 liter will allow us to paint 4.5 meters squared, right? So therefore, if she has 53 meters squared to paint, then I need to figure out how many liters I'm gonna need. So all I need to do here, I need to say 53 multiplied by 1 divided by 4.5, right? And that is going to give me, so 53 divided by 4.5, and that's going to be about 11.8 liters. Now that's how many liters of paint she needs, right? That's how many liters of paint that she needs. Now, what else are they telling me here? So this is the amount that we need, right? But they only sold in 2.5 liters tin, right? So all we need to do, we need to take this amount of paint, 11.8, and divide it by 2.5, right? That'll tell us how many cans of paint we need. So 11.8 divided by 2.5, and you're going to get about 4.7, right? You need 4.7 cans of paint, right? Now the thing is, they're not going to sell a half pan of paint, right? So this is 4.7 tins, right? So what you're going to do, you're going to round up that to 5 tins. She needs to buy 5 tins of paint, and the cost of these 5 tins is $24.75. So her cost, because that's the cost that they're looking for here. It's going to be 5 tins she needs, multiplied by $24.75. Right, so 5 multiplied by 24.75, and you're going to get $123.75. Right, so let me just make sure that's correct. So 5 Yeah, so she needs 5 tins, and the cost of the 5 tins will be 123.75. So that's question 1. That was pretty straightforward, right? The next one here now, they said Leela, this is number 2, cycles along a path for 5 minutes, right? She starts from rest and accelerates at a constant rate until she reaches a speed of 5 meters per second in 100 seconds. She continues cycling at 5 meters per second for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. She then decelerates at a constant rate until she stops. Now, those of you doing physics will find this question to be very easy, right? So let's start to analyze what's happening there. She starts from rest. That tells us something. That tells us she's starting from here. Now, if you notice, we have speed and we have time here, but we have time here in seconds. So she accelerates at a constant rate until she reaches 5 meters per second in 100 seconds. So all I'm going to do here, so this here represents 5 meters per second, 100 seconds. Now that is constant acceleration. Now if you are asked about constant acceleration, that simply means that is going to be a straight line. That's going to be a straight line in that region. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a line from here to here, right? Because they want us to draw the graph. Right, so that's the first stage of this journey here that we're talking about. So that's a constant acceleration, right? So we've taken care of that. She continues cycling at 5 meters per second for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Now, the problem here that some students might have an issue with is the time is seconds. Now, 2 minutes and 40 seconds, right? So 2 minutes, right, and 40 seconds. You need to convert that into seconds. So 2 minutes is actually 2 multiplied by 60. So that's 120 seconds. But we have this 40 to add here. So therefore, that time that we're looking for, that total time is going to be 120, that's the 2 minutes, plus 40. And that's going to give us 160 seconds, right? So what we're saying is that for 160 seconds, she's going to be traveling at 5 meters per second. So this here is up to 100 seconds. But what we're going to do now, we're going to add 160 to that. So that's going to give me 260. So this is where 260 is, right? So therefore, she's traveling up until this point, right? And between 100 and 260, she's traveling at a constant speed of 5 meters per second. So what we're going to do here, we're going to draw a straight line here, right? So that's another piece of the graph that we need to draw. So we've taken care of the constant speed, because they said she continues cycling at 5 for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Now she decelerates at a constant rate. So when she's decelerating, right, what that means is that, let me just check something. Right, she's cycling for 5 minutes. So therefore, all I need to do now for the last piece is 300 seconds correspond to the 5 minutes. And they said she decelerates. So when she decelerates here, we're talking about a deceleration like this, right? Or what we call a negative acceleration. So we're getting 3 marks to just draw the speed time graph for this, this cycle, right? Leela cycles for 5 minutes, right? So 3 marks for this. The next part, determine Leela's acceleration. Now, acceleration, right, is in this region here, right? Where we have a positive slope. So all we need to do is to find the gradient of that line. So in this case here, you're starting at the origin, but this point on top here is actually 105, all right? So what you have is 0, 0, and you have 105. And what you're trying to do is to find gradient. Now they only give you 1 mark for this, because some students will just, so the acceleration, right, is equal to my slope, right, which is given by y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So in this case here, this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2, right? So it's going to be 5 minus 0 over 100 minus 0. So this is going to be 0.05 meters per second squared, because it's acceleration, and that's our unit, 0.05 meters per second squared, right? Now CSEC only gave 1 mark here because they consider that part to be pretty straightforward. So that's part 2. The third part, they want you to calculate an average speed for the entire journey. Now that requires a little more work because average speed, right, is equal to total distance traveled over total time. Now what we do know is that the entire journey took 300 seconds. So we know the total time. But what we need to figure out the total distance here. Now, to find the total distance from a speed time graph, what we need to do, we need to find the area under the graph. So what I will do, you have two options. Either you find the area of this trapezium, that is one option, or you can decide to break this thing up into 3 parts, right? Just to get the area. So let's call this A1. Let's drop a vertical here. And let's call this A2. And let's call the last area A3. Now if you do that, you can see that you have 2 triangles and a rectangle. And all I need to do is to figure out the area of each of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find the area for A1, A2, and A3 and just add them up. So let's start with A1. A1 is a triangle. So it's a half by base by height. So in this case, it's going to be a half multiplied by, look at the diagram. The diagram has the information. The base is 100 and the height is 5. So it's 100 multiplied by 5, right? So that's half of 100 is 50. 50 by 5, that's 250 meters, right? So that's A1, right? A2 now is simply going to be a rectangle. So that's length by width. So if we go to the diagram, so the dimensions we're looking at here, the length. So this here, right, is actually 160. That's that length. And the vertical part is 5. So it's 160 multiplied by 5. So this is 160 multiplied by 5. So that's going to be 160 multiplied by 5. And that's going to give me 800 meters. Right? That's A2. And A3 now, we have another triangle, half base by height. So it's going to be a half multiplied by, now the base in this case here, you're going from 260 to 300. So that's a base of 40, right? So it's a half by 40 multiplied by a height of 5. So there's a half by 40 multiplied by 5. Half of 40 is 20. 20 by 5 is 100, right? So this is 100 meters here. So your total distance travel is going to be 250 plus 800 plus 100, and then you're going to just divide that. So it's 250 plus 800 plus 100 divided by 300 seconds, and you're going to get an average speed of around 3.83 meters per second, right? So that's my average speed. So this type of question can come in your paper 2, guys, right? That can come in your paper 2. Let's see what else they have here. All right, so now we have linear programming or graphing and inequality here. The diagram below shows the graph of 3 lines. So we have 3 lines, L1, L2, and L3, and we have the shaded region R, which satisfies the common region for the 3 inequalities. Right, so we have 3 lines. Now, what do they want here? Oh, this is the last part. Okay, so they gave you the equation of the line, right? And they told us that they want it in the form y is equal to mx plus c. And what they want us to do is to complete this. So we have y is equal to 2x, and they want to know what is the inequality that we're going to put here, right? Now, there are only 2 options. Either it is y is less than or equal to 2x, or it is y is greater than or equal to 2x, right? That's what we need to check. So go to the diagram, right? So we're talking about L1. So you have 2 options, right? Now, normally when you draw a straight line, you can either shade above or below. But based on the region here, this common region that we're looking for, we need to actually have an inequality that causes us to shade that way, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select a point, right, that is in that region so I can use. So let's say I select a test point here, which is 2, 1, right? So this test point here is 2, 1, and I need that test point to be in the region. So remember, the inequality could either be y is less than or equal to 2x, or it can be y is greater than or equal to 2x. So if I'm using the point 21, that means x is 1 and 1, sorry, x is 2, right, and y is 1. So we need to see which one is it actually going to work out with. So let me try this one first here. So y is 1, so 1 is less than or equal to 2 by x, which is 4, sorry, which is 2. So we end up with 1 is less than or equal to 4. So clearly we see that that statement is true. So what that means is that this point 21 lies in the correct region that I want it to be. So therefore your inequality has to be y is less than or equal to 2x. So for this one here, you're going to put y is less than or equal to 2x, right? That's the inequality there. Now let's look at L2 now. So L2 is which line? L2 is across here. Now if I want the common region to be R, right, it means that L2, the inequality has to be pointing upwards. We have to shade that region. So therefore, because it's a horizontal line, that's pretty easy. It has to be y is greater than or equal to 2. So this one is straightforward. It's above the line. So therefore, the inequality is y is greater than or equal to 2. That's it. Nothing fancy for that one. Now, the last one, L3 now, we know what the equation is, right? So we have two equations here. So saying that wrong. They gave us the inequality, right? They gave us the inequality. And what they want the equation of the line. So all you guys need to do here, right? The equation of the line is simply going to be 2y is equal to 10 minus x. However, they want us to write it in the form y is equal to mx plus c. So therefore, all we need to do here is to divide by 2. So therefore, y is equal to 5 minus a half x, right? Or you can write that as y is equal to minus a half x plus 5. The only reason I'm writing it like that is because of this. They said write it in that format first, right? So y is equal to minus a half x plus 5. All right, guys. So that's it. Alternative to the SBA, this is only 2 questions, right? 10 marks each. So I hope you guys like the solutions, right? Please hit like and subscribe. Don't just look at the videos, hit like and subscribe, right? So for quality online classes, guys, right? I do give maths, chemistry, physics, and add maths, right? And you can send me a WhatsApp at this number here. Right? So new classes will start in August. Right now, my Form 5 classes are preparing to write exam in May, June. All right? All right, guys, that's it for me. Laters.